Dr. Epps, thank you so much for coming on the show to share your story with our viewers and our listeners. Could you briefly tell us what's going on in your life and in your career right now?
But one of the things I appreciate after a 30-year career, I am looking forward to closing out this chapter, of 30 years and getting ready, preparing to retire this summer. But one of the things I can honestly tell you, it's been a lot of things going on up to this point, graduation, closing out the school year. But the biggest thing is training my administrators, and that's building leadership capacity throughout the school so that I know when I, step away that my APs, I have 7 assistant principals, that they know exactly what it takes to move the school not only forward, but how to sustain the successes that we've had in place, how to take care of the teachers. And that's the biggest thing is you take care of your teachers, they'll take care of the students, and hopefully, we'll see the results we're looking at. So I'm excited about that. And it's been a wonderful journey. 30 years as I look back, if I had to do it all over again. Some things I went through, some valleys I went through, they were learning moments, but I spent a lot of time climbing up the mountain and even at the mountaintop celebrating successes. So I appreciate it.
So what's the name of the school that you're at right now?
Lake Worth Community High School in the school district of Palm Beach in South Florida, school district of Palm Beach.
How long have you been there?
I've been in school 5.5 years. I reported here on February the 17th, and on February the 17th of 2017 is when I reported to that school. Prior to that, I was in the district office as HR manager over employee relations. And so it was my job to do an investigation on any allegations or to look into anything that's, looked like some things going on. Also help set some of the district policies on professional conduct and behavior for employees, and also partner with the State Department of Education as we look at new guidelines, regulations, and anybody up for losing their teaching certification. So it was a well-respected job that I enjoyed, but when people saw me coming on that campus, they were running high because they said, here come trouble, here come bad news. Who you coming to fire today, Dr. Epps?
Wow.
So no one, it just had that negative, but if they did nothing wrong, then I was the best guy they want to see. Because I did have some situations because we had allegations, we had people will go to the board and make these statements. And of course, anytime you go to the board at a board meeting and you're on the mic, you make these allegations and people say something, I would be the one the next morning going to investigate. And because of my experience as a teacher, assistant principal, and principal for many years, and I've been 20 years since I left the classroom, became a school administrator, 20 years. So I've been doing this a long time. That has afforded me the time in the chair of leader to know how things work. A lot of people in your district office, many of them have never worked inside your schools.
Okay.
And so that helped me. So I was able to do some correct investigation to clear up some misconceptions and misunderstandings. And so a lot of people thought it was this person when I know for a fact how things work on a local campus. And I was able to solve a lot of problems based on my previous experience.
Wow. So I take it the school that you were working at was in a turnaround situation when you first got there?
Yeah, it definitely needed a lot of work. And what we had to do was just to make sure that first of all, put out the fires. I was working as an HR person in the school district. And when I moved to Palm Beach School District, I was offered the position of director.
Okay.
And then the superintendent asked me, can I commit to 5 years? The answer was no, don't commit to 5 years with nothing but my wife and living a good life and doing work in the community and at my church. So, and I said, well, no, that's not for me. So they called me back and asked me, will I be the assistant until, I said, yeah, I'd be happy to help out. That's what I want to do because I was looking for the transition from my school at Florida State University, schools.
Okay.
I had an elementary, a middle, and a high school. So I was a K12 principal.
Okay.
There, yeah, it was a wonderful, long 8 interviews just to get that job at Florida State. So, but anyway, as I transitioned down, I get the call from the superintendent to come to his office, and I didn't even know much about the school, and he asked me if I would go over there, in other words, put out the fires.
Okay.
And so when I got there, that was more than fires. It was a culture. It was a bad situation. It was a bad situation that I needed to immediately roll my sleeves up and get busy putting out fires and breaking up fights. Not literal, but that was just some tension in the air between, there was a principal removed and an assistant principal removed. And so everyone who really admired the assistant principal, he had this squad over here. Everyone who loved the principal, this squad was over there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there looking and not realizing, because I knew what I was getting into when they asked me to go, because I was the one who did the investigation of that principal.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, I knew all the, I'm going to say dirt. I knew everything.
Yeah.
And I had, it was 82 investigations. So from my investigations, the school board attorneys, and I would sit down and look at consequence and what report we would send to the State Department and to the school board based on our recommendations. So I go there and I already know a lot about the staff members. I met them when I was doing my investigations with no intention that I would be going to that school. But I ended up going there, and it just took some work, a lot to work. Some people had to be reassigned from that school. They were just toxic, and there was no way they wanted to turn around, give up their throne of negativity. And I asked the superintendent for help. Boom, got that person off my campus. A lot of them started retiring and leaving because they didn't know who this new guy coming in, just with a broom. He was just sweeping and cleaning. And so, and sometimes you got to do what you have to do to keep the ship, the mission of the school moving forward. It was a challenge because there are a lot of days, and sitting in this chair as principal, one is a lonely number. And principalship is a lonely number because we're the one out there on the battlefield.
Right.
With the troops. And we have to keep charging forward and going home, strategically thinking. And because I was new, I could not share where I was going with a lot of my movements and moving people here and non-reappointment of people. I couldn't share. I had to keep that because strategically, I'm still looking at who can I trust within my inner circle.
Sure.
And so it was, yeah. And a lot of people were friends with some of the people, and here's this guy coming in. Everybody like, I don't know, because I went in on an interim basis until they can get another principal. And so in June, they asked me, would I stay? Because I kept us out of the news.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. You keep us out of the news. We were in the news a lot. I mean, when I said a lot, we were before I got there. And then when I got there, we were not in the news for anything crazy.
Sure.
And so the school did, and I came in meeting with the alumni members, meeting with a lot of the district leaders. I understood what my mission was. And then I had to put together a plan on how we were going to move forward as a team.
That's awesome. So let's fast forward from 2017 to today. Where does the school stand at now, and how did it turn out for those 5 years? Because you ended up staying the 5 years that the superintendent asked you to stay in the first place.
Yeah, he asked me to stay, but I knew what I wanted to do because, after 25 years of being at a school and then you go to the district office, it's not the same because there is no end date, because at the district, you're year round. Those days all loop together. Sure. And when schools are out, but your work doesn't change. So I missed those basketball games. I missed the choir recitals, and I missed the band performances, and a lot of the other things, talking to children. That's the reason why I got into education, to make an impact in the lives of our future leaders. And that's our young people.
Yeah.
And so I missed that. But when I went back to the school, it was just like, man, I didn't miss a beat. It was just exciting just to be back with the kids. And I knew where I was going into, because just to compare my life to a firefighter, when you go to fire school, you're going to be putting out fires.
Sure.
And so looking at fires didn't bother me. I was built for this. I was built for tough times because that's just how I am, and that's the way I lead. So one of the things, putting out fires, but along the way, even when, there was still some fires, I'm putting them out, but I was still enjoying the journey of laughing and talking to the kids. It's almost like that commercial with the deodorant, don't let them see you sweat.
Okay.
And so they didn't see me sweat because they're like, wow, this dude's getting results and he's laughing. He's enjoying himself.
Awesome.
He's joking with the teachers and students and shooting basketball with the kids and hanging out doing lunch. He's visiting classrooms, 20 or more classrooms a day. How's he doing all this when we don't like him? I told him. I even told the staff, I didn't know you before I came, and you don't have to call me when I leave. I'm here to get a job done because that's my mission.
Sure.
And I'm not going to leave bodies along the road. If you trust me and have faith in where we're going, you get on board. And if you're not on board, I'm okay with you leaving. I am okay with you leaving because I'd rather have you off this train than on this train trying to tell me which way we're going to go.
Wow.
And so, oh yeah, he was just too hard. He was just too, I was being honest because your time and my time are precious.
Absolutely.
So the conductor of the train had to let you know the destination and where we're going. And while we're riding, I don't want you sticking your hands out the window. I don't need you running up and down there. There are some rules to riding on the train with Dr. Epps.
No, I get it. And truthfully, you know, our children don't have time to wait, right? You know, they're only with us.
No, every second. You and I we can reflect back on the days of our horrible teachers.
Sure.
And we know the great teachers. Why is it that we still remember how those horrible substitutes and those bad teachers? Because they were so horrible, they shouldn't even been on campus.
Sure.
Well, I hired somebody during my first months there after February. I think I hired this lady, I think it's either March or April, and interviewed well. She did a great job. I was happy to bring her on board. And then I noticed a lot of kids started coming to the office and she's sending them to the student services because she just didn't want them in the room. I'm like, okay, time out, what's going on? Well, you know, I told them to put their cell phones away and line up in the hallway before they come in the classroom. I said, ma'am, these are high school students.
In elementary.
Do you understand when you got the job, these are high school? So the next day went by and she asked me, she said another kid, and I spoke to her about that. And she said, well, you know, we got to get these kids under control because it's either going to be them or me. And I said, ma'am, I'm so sorry to tell you, you made that statement that I've been waiting to share with you. It's only 4 days later, I remind you, Dr. Williams.
Wow.
I said, ma'am, I'm gonna have to let you go. Let me have your keys, let me have your ID, and thank you for coming, but don't come back on my campus.
Wow.
Like, I see anybody who don't understand my students, don't love my students enough to keep them in the classroom, you don't need to be on my campus.
That's
you
awesome.
Gotta go. And they were like, what happened? We just hired a teacher, where is she? I said, let me tell you something about me. When there's a fire, I put it out.
Awesome.
If it keeps coming back, I might have to use a different way to extinguish that fire. And that's what I did. I just get you off my campus. I don't have to deal with you. Either you want to be there or you don't. There's no in-betweens.
No, I agree with that. You know, that's part of our job, right?
You did ask me about the 5 years. When I went to school, the graduation rate was low. The teacher absenteeism was high. And student absenteeism was very high. Student engagement in the classroom, they're more like showing up and not showing any interest or, you know, participating in the classroom activities, not doing assignments. After 5 years, we went from 74% graduation rate, 74 up to 84, down to 78. And then today, our graduation rate is 95.4.
Wow.
So we've had a wonderful increase because we as a team sat down and put emphasis on where it needed to be. And that was, let's create a culture of trust, understanding, collaboration, and one where we focus on our students. And I use the word care because I believe every child on every campus in the world should have at least one caring adult they can go to at any time, whatever they're going through. It doesn't have to be me, it doesn't have to be your primary teacher, but every child should have at least one caring adult on campus. And so that's the environment I wanted to create.
No, it sounds like you created that. That's awesome.
And that's one we did create. And because kids started coming, and to this day, I've hired over 70 teachers. I have 178 teachers.
Wow.
And so I've hired over 60 or 70 teachers in the 5 years. And some teachers, and this is just me, you're going to go to your new school. I've been at school, I've been doing this over 20 years. And so there are some teachers are good teachers, but they're not a good fit for my particular school.
Sure, sure.
And you know this when you walk in, they find it hard to connect. They're teaching and no one's paying attention. You like what they're saying is right. They're giving you the right strategies and the differentiated instruction. They're asking the right level of questions. They're doing some close reading strategies. They got some avid strategies. They're doing some Cornell notes. They're doing everything right, but they have not connected to the student. So what I did to help them, and I had to talk with them where I non-reappointed, but I helped them locate another school that met their background and their understanding of students.
I like that.
Because a lot of my teachers live in such a middle class or upper middle class community, could not relate to the students and where they taught. And so I created this thing. I share with my other APs. My school, even though it's local, at the time was low performing, high needs, high poverty, high mobility. We would not be a gateway for anybody to get their foot in the school district and then try to use my school to go to another school.
I like that.
So the only thing I had to ask you, are you in or you out? Are you committed? Are you loyal? And if you're doing that, I'm on board. I got you. And so we've done that. And so that's really helped out tremendously.
Awesome. So Dr. Epps, sometimes our K-12 profession gets a bad rap. And I truthfully believe that the K-12 profession is the greatest profession in the world. Why do you believe that K-12 education is such a noble profession?
One of the things, because I've committed 30 years of my life to this profession. Wow. It's a profession everyone goes through. I don't want to say you can't get through, you got to go through here to get to there, but to go through, whether you homeschool, whether you a virtual school, you're still going through a school. Whether you're in a village school down in Guatemala, you're still going through a school and someone is teaching you. And so for someone to pour into you, to add value to you every day, to touch your mind and to have hope for a brighter future for you tomorrow. That's what education is. And so we are that noble profession. We're the profession where people, oh, I love it. And then some other people say, I don't know how you all do it. And as of late, in the past 15 years, definitely the last 8 years, our schools have become a political football. Yeah. And I shared with someone the other day that it is easy for laws to be passed, educational laws to be passed in just about any other department, because we don't have any advocates who will stand up and say not so. And so we have become the political football where if the Democrats in charge, then they use education to benefit them. If a Republican's in charge, then they're going to use the education platform to put in new sanctions or mandates that benefits them in their thought. And if you ever watch what's going on in the state of Florida, that's a prime example of a lot of things that are happening that's strictly political, that has nothing to do with the education and the hope and the advancement of students to foster post-secondary success. So I'm excited about what we do every day. We still getting some things done. Our kids graduate from school, they're excited. They're looking forward to educators like you and I and those around the world and your listening audience to walk in every day to let them know they're going to be all right. I got your back. Absolutely. I got your back. Absolutely. And that's what they want to hear. And then when they walk across the stage, even the one who got on your nerves for the past 4 years want to walk up and hug you, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm not ready to give you a hug. You gave me a headache for 4 years, and I'm tired. Come back and see me in a year. But on a serious note, we shake them. I had some, man. I literally had to walk these jokers off my campus. I said, you go home, you rest, and then you come back tomorrow. You find me, because you will not have another day like today. So I'm that guy, man. I'm 6'2", 250 pounds. But I can do that. You want to act crazy? Let's go, baby. Let's act crazy and let me see, because I need you to get this out, because you're distracting everybody on my campus. So when you're ready to learn, I got you. You can ride with me. And so when graduation came, it's like my Christmas every year. Especially when we because everything we do culminates into this graduation ceremony and kids walking across the stage and going off to college. And so I'm excited about that. So there's no profession like our education, especially in our public schools. But any school, man, you get about, especially in our public school where we have a high percentage of our Black and brown students that are really struggling and looking for people of color and leadership in the classroom who care. And for your listening audience, I want to be very clear. Simply because a teacher is Black or brown, that does not make them a great fit for your school. Simply because of their color. They need to bring quality to the classroom. Yes. And I don't care what color you are. If you can bring quality education to the classroom, trust me, we're going to have a great school and we're going to have a great year, and you will get a chance to keep your job.
Absolutely.
If you don't bring it, it's going to be a different conversation.
No, thank you for sharing that. I totally agree with you. So yeah, just because you're brown don't mean you down. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you don't stick around. Keep going. Hey, as we say, go find that school down the street because you can't stop here. Let's keep going.
100%.
And so we do that. And Dr. Williams, one of the first thing I had to do is to put some systems in place. But before that, I really had to analyze what was happening so that I could be on target. Because the last thing I need to do as a new face on my campus to come in with some rules and expectations that were not relevant to the issues at hand. So what I had to do is establish the culture and climate where we really had to assess, and I asked for feedback. Are we doing, what do we want to be known for?
Yes.
What do we want to be known for? And then the other thing, are we doing what we say we're going to do?
Yeah.
And then I went over core values. 10 of the core values, and in the core values, and I use that menti.com, menti, MENTI. And that's where people can type this in on their phone and you can see it upload. You get some quick time feedback.
Oh, and the Mentimeter. Yeah. Mentimeter. Yeah.
And this is the number one overarching word among the teachers with the word caring. Man, you just didn't know. I was like a kid in a candy shop, like on Christmas. Like, okay, I love this. So if we say that we should be known as a caring school, are we a caring school? What does it sound like? What does it look like? And I tell people, if I'm blind and I walk into your classroom, what should I hear? Am I hearing a caring conversation? And if I was deaf, but I could see you, do I see a caring teacher, caring relationship? Do I see a smiley face? Do I even see your eyes caring? And so we looked at culture and climate. And then we had to assess what's really working, what's not working. And you always keep it simple. What's working, what's not working, what do I need to get rid of?
Awesome. Yeah.
And so those are the simple things that leaders have been asking for years. But on top of that, I want to know, do they see me or hear me as a listening leader? Principals must be a listening leader. Okay. And I work with my assistant principals to close your mouth, listen 95% of your day. Don't go around with all the answers. I have a lot of answers, but that's not the time. I need to listen, because when you look at the 5 love languages, some people need that affirmation. Some people just tell me directly what you want. Some people want service. Don't talk about it, but be about it, and let's keep moving forward. And so those are the type things that I know. The second thing we had to look at is systems of accountability. Okay. We need a consistency. And how do we do that? That's what I meant with the education, little group of teachers, my department chairs in the school who were the voices for the teachers in the classroom. I met with our union reps on campus and says, tell me some of the things that have been burning issues. And it was really talking about morale. We're talking about, teachers leaving early, coming to work late, some teachers doing their planning and sleeping, some that can't be found, they're going shopping, in the classroom or on the internet when they should be out of their seat. So we had to come up with some systems that's going to work for everyone. And sometimes some people just weren't happy with something, because I do demand that you honor your contract, be to work on time. Stay until the end. Help your students. Contact parents. Oh man, I can't say that. There's some teachers just don't like to reach out to parents. Yeah. And so the third in the CSI model is instructions. In instructions, when we look at instructional practices, how am I helping my teachers? How am I helping and preparing my teachers to deliver the standard-based instruction to their students every day? How am I helping them as they plan their lessons? Am I looking at strategies of close reading strategies? I'm looking at some of my Cornell note-taking. What am I doing? Because not all teachers are the same. So, and I have to find out who they are by visiting classrooms and taking some mini snapshots. Sure. And also the conversation said, I see you've been a teacher for a year, or I've seen you've been a teacher for 20 years. And I value that, because you have a lot to bring. So how can they help you grow? And so they were talking about some things, and because, education is always changing and evolving to, other things. And so we just moved. So once we put those pieces in place, we started moving forward. And this is how we were able to decreased absenteeism from 8% in 2017 to 1.8% the next year or two. COVID kind of messed everything up. Everybody, sick and losing. So bar none, but just take that out of the equation. But prior to that, we were at 1.8%.
Wow.
And so we also increased the number of students, Black and brown, all students, especially our Black and brown female students, in our advanced accelerated courses.
Awesome.
Because one of the things I do challenge all principals to be mindful of is to eliminate those gatekeepers who think they can look at a kid and determine whether or not this student should go into an advanced class or college level based on something they had a run in, and I don't think this kid would do it. I removed that from them respectfully, and I heard all of the chatter, but they don't know enough about that kid to keep them from taking advanced classes. And so we, at my school, we one of the largest, we have a very high ELL population and definitely students, but my school was recognized as one of those schools that had a very high percentage of students taking college level courses and getting industry certifications on my campus, because I have a medical academy, a biomedical, I have a pharmacy, Air Force ROTC, early childhood, criminal justice, Air Force ROTC, culinary, and construction. And we have what's called a digital art.
Wow.
That partners with our construction, because what happens, they do the renderings, they could create this house, and then my construction make those little models. So there's a partnership that happens there. So everyone can do something when you really put your instructional focus, when you put it out where everyone understands what's happening. And I will keep that information up front through my weekly newsletters, through my emails, through my communications and announcements to the teachers and the students about what was happening. So the biggest thing I had to do, and the teacher recommended that I increase my communication among, from me to the staff. She said, you're doing a lot of great things, but you're not communicating enough. And so that's why I just started doing the newsletters and the emails updates weekly. And so it was a turning point. So no one could ever say, we don't know what's going on, and he doesn't communicate with us.
No, that's huge. So your CSI model, like, I really, really like that. So let me just kind of rephrase what you shared. Culture and climate.
Absolutely.
Systems of accountability.
Yes, sir. And
instructional practice. Just making sure that everybody's on the same page with that, whether it's related to grading, the whole, expectations of our students, not dumbing down the expectations for Black and brown students, making sure that everyone is held to a high standard, and make sure that they're getting what they need instructionally from our staff and our teachers.
Yeah, we had to focus on not lowering the floor, but raise the roof, because we get ready to increase proficiency in all classrooms with all students. And so that's one of the things we had to do every year, is to make sure that we put emphasis on our teachers, because I noticed just from assessments that our students were struggling with in reading comprehension and writing strategies. So what we did, I got with my English department, the department head, my assistant principal, and we had to come up with a strategy. And then we put a plan in place to help my science and my math teachers implement reading and writing strategies in those classrooms. Because in reading and science, not reading and science and math, they did not go to school to become reading and writing teachers.
Yeah.
They're mathematicians and scientists.
Sure.
So we had to show them how to use some close reading strategies, to show them and how to use context clues in the writing to help the students understand, and they have to be able to reference their work. And so we had to help them understand. So the teachers start requiring longer responses in their writings instead of something short and sweet. But if I'm going to do a word problem, let me see if I have some moderate to high complexity words in there when you look at Webb's depth of knowledge. And then you also look at some of the things when you look at some of these writing strategies on what do I need to look for to make sure I'm teaching standard-based instruction, and how do I know that they got it. Because when I walk into a room to observe a teacher, I need to know that my teacher understands what the students are working on.
Absolutely.
And so I look at it, I'm saying, how do I know that you know that the kid got it?
Absolutely.
Because I look for words of affirmation. Thank you there, Joseph. Joseph, you hit it because, and then you can paraphrase like you just did with me.
Yeah.
Yes, you answer that because boom, boom, boom. It's almost like you just rephrasing it so that kid that's not listening, that, oh, I got it. Yeah. So instead of saying, here's the answer, and then you move on or give some kind of general core response. I don't like, there's a time for that when you're teaching the choir to sing. Lovely voice, but I need specific praise when you really break this thing down.
No, that's very good. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And wow, you have a lot of experience, and just in this interview, I've learned a lot from you, and I'm definitely going to continue the conversation with you personally myself as a school leader. But you're at the end of your K-12 career journey as it relates to working in schools. As you come upon your last 30 days after 30 years of doing this, which is very hard to believe because you still look like a very, very young man. What do you plan on doing in your retirement? Because I just can't see you sitting at home and Netflixing and chilling every single day.
And that there may be some days where I do that just to unwind and just laugh and just say, Dr. Epps, what did you do today? Nothing.
100. You've earned it. You earned it, Doc. You've earned it.
Yeah, I earned it. Just sit back. Matter of fact, the state's going to pay me just to get out of the way, and that's okay. I'm ready to have it. Excuse me. I'm in the process of writing 2 books for ASCD, for those of the Association for Curriculum Development, the Supervision in Curriculum Development, and so I'm excited about that because it's one of the top educational organizations in the world. I think they have 300 to 400,000 members. And so I'm working on a book now about managing the unexpected, because a lot of principals and teachers, you've been tasked with things that weren't on your plate, that have been placed on your plate in addition to your job description. Sure. So you and I laughed at that thing, that little line at the bottom, other duties as assigned. Well, that seemed like that's in bold print because you would do other duties as assigned. So how do you manage that? There are a lot of strategies, and you have to bring me through, and I'll be happy to do some trainings with you as we talk about the 7 principles for managing the unexpected. And these are from my experience and then doing research with other effective principals nationwide, that things they have done that have been quite effective, from navigating confusion on your campus, and you just had a kid is hurt and sick, and you need to call 911, and you got to get the communication because there's a rumor that may be a gun on your campus. Then all of a sudden you lose electricity, you lose power. When you lose power on your campus, how do you communicate? So you have to have these systems in place to make sure your people know what to do. John Wooden, famous legendary basketball coach, said, when the opportunity arises, it's not the time, it's too late to prepare. Wow. So you have to be prepared before the opportunity arises, and that's through positive and negative things. So you have to have a system in place to make sure everyone knows where to go and what to do in case inclement weather, a hurricane shows up all of a sudden, or someone with a gun on your campus. Sure. So you have to do these things. So I'm looking forward to writing this book and sharing it with educators around the world. And then the second thing is to do some traveling and speaking, develop me, take care of my health, and just put plans in place so I'm able to travel and speak with school leaders, because as school leaders go, so goes the flow of the school. And I want to make sure that within my power, and I dedicate the rest of my life and whatever I'm going to do to make sure I help school leaders and aspiring school leaders and district leaders and superintendents, whatever you can do to make the life of one child meaningful. I want to be part of that. And so that's what I do. So I want to make sure that principals stay in the course, don't give up. Sure. Don't give up. Things will be tough, but this is what makes tough principles. You make tough principles by going through tough situations. So you can't run from everything because life is tough itself. Yeah. So like I said, if I was built for tough, Dr. Williams was built for tough situations, and that's what made us who we are today. And we're able to tell our story. So stay strong, stay positive, and I guarantee you, you're going to make it. but just don't throw in the towel.
That's awesome. You know, Doc, this has been a really good interview, but I do have a couple more questions for you. First of all, as a school leader, there's a lot of school leaders out there that have been totally impacted by, you know, the last 2.5+ years of this pandemic. How do you, or what would you say to those school leaders about how to maintain work-life balance and not let the stress get to them as school leaders?
As a matter of fact, the stress we'll get to is how we handle and internalize the stress. There's some good stress, but we have a lot of our school leaders who are suffering from anxiety. There are some good things, but there's some things now. I want to speak to, if you don't mind, to that leader who may be overwhelmed, stressed, and suffering from anxiety. I'm going to speak from experience because I've worked with other school leaders. I need you to move away from trying to be perfect when you solve a problem. I need you to address the problem, but some things doesn't need to be so detailed. You need to handle that and you can communicate a plan. How do you do that? You do that by reaching across the campus, going to the other school and asking a veteran principal who could be your mentor. I don't even have to be in your city or state for you to call me and say, hey, Doc, here's a situation. Can you help me with this? Absolutely. I do that on Facebook. I go there and there are principals asking all kind of questions. To me, they're pretty easy, but to them, it's insurmountable. It's a weight that's holding them down. But I treat everyone serious. I mean, the questions in serious nature, and I reply with serious comment instead of saying, it's no big deal. You can handle that. No, everyone see problems differently.
Sure.
And so when we look at this, with the pandemic and this school closure and reopening, and if you're like me, I lost 6 people on my campus that died in the last 24 months.
Wow.
From COVID and COVID related, just died from COVID. And so the communications to the students, to the parents, to the co-workers, to the teachers who said, I was just with this teacher last week, and you're telling us they died? Yes. And so there are some communications that you need to be prepared to speak. I reach out to my school district, Dr. Williams. I don't know about yours, but my school district, when I'm telling you, bar none, the best.
Wow.
When there's a situation on my campus, instead of me getting on trying to handle all these managing these unexpected issues on my campus, I could call my school district and I can tell them what's going on. They work on the communication and send out the voice messages to the parents in the community on my behalf.
Wow. And
they were saying, parents, just want to alert you, this is Dr. Epps. There's been a crisis at Lakewood High School, blah, 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 the school. And we want to let you know that this is what's happening. 1, 2, 3, 4. The superintendent's been alerted. Local police is involved. The first responders are on their way. They send the communication out. Because back in the day when I started, that I had to write it out. I had to do it.
Sure.
Here in the school district of Palm Beach, bar none, man, they're just phenomenal. I don't even have to stress over that communication piece. But what they really need is someone to make some decisions quickly. Mm-hmm. And that's what we have to make decisions quickly. And they cannot see us sweat. We cannot go in our office and hide out and say, let me get back with you. And so you have to move quickly. So this pandemic has put a number on us. And I hate to say that some principals are not okay. And that's where the mental health piece comes in. It is okay to take some days off to recoup and get yourself together. It is okay. And you don't have to feel guilty about taking off. Sure. I guarantee you, your school will last for the next 100 years with or without you.
Absolutely.
But you're no good to your family or to you if you mentally need some support and you're not getting it. Because one day in the life where you are negligent on yourself, you can make the wrong decision and you can lose your job, or a child could lose his or her life. And so I want you to take care of yourself, because this pandemic is the pandemic. We all went through it, and we all have come out on this side a little different. My experience in the military has taught me and trained me for tough situations.
Sure.
So the pandemic wasn't, I'm just like, because I have something to compare it to. It's like, okay, we're going through a pandemic. All right, let me put a strategic plan in place. For a new principal, you don't know. You're waiting to be told what to do.
Yeah.
Where I'm a veteran, I don't need to be told. I know exactly what needs to happen. And so this is where I'm dedicating my life to, helping those principals to plan strategically. What are some of the things you look for? And that's part of the principle when we look at those 7 principles on managing the unexpected. What do you look for? And really one of the first things, you really have to assess the situation. And then that determines what kind of help you need and the time management for, for completing a task on your campus. But if you're not right, nothing is right.
I agree. So Dr. Epps, if you had to do it all over again, would you still have made the decision to work as a K-12 educator and leader?
Well, absolutely. Matter of fact, like I said, I was called to do this. And in my calling to do this, it was definitely bigger than what it helped me to understand my purpose and do my purpose. I developed my passion.
Sure.
And because of my passion for helping others, I saw the best way to serve in this field, this mission field, is through education and through the service. Now, one of the things, Dr. Williams, when I say to serve, is I serve beyond the walls of my school. I serve in the community. I have generous donors. That's what you say about rich people who give money. I have generous donors who give me money every year. I established a community outreach fund on my campus. So if you need shoes, you need clothes, you need something, that money is there. If you need, and here's when I said food, and it's not only for my students, it's for my staff as well. During this time of the pandemic, I have a lot of staff members who had families where they were all had to be quarantined. I knew that if they are quarantined, they can't go out to go to the store.
Sure.
And so I reached out to them, and there were several who took me up on this offer saying, you know what? I said, tell me, you have 4 kids, your wife home, and you're home. How's your food situation? Oh, it's not looking good. How about texting me what you need? I'm going up to Sam's. Tell me what you need on this list. And then I would get it. I would put it at their door. I would call them and says, your food is at the door. Enjoy. Love you. I'll see you when you're healthy and back on campus. Did that several times. Did that with students. I did that with community members. Did it with my teachers. And some of the other people, if they didn't have the support system from the church, a community outreach program, that's why I started that fund. Also with the community outreach fund, we feed the homeless. Wow. We serve the homeless in the community. We have, like I said, we have clothes. I have 2 pantries, a clothes pantry and a food pantry on my campus.
Awesome.
We have 3 sets of washer and dryers. So if you bring your clothes, you put it in a backpack, be discreet about it. We wash your clothes and put it in the dryer. We'll call you when they come to get it, because I don't want the kids to break my washer and dryer. But I do have some staff members to help with that.
That's awesome.
And so we have a lot of kids, they just don't have the clothes.
Wow.
And then the other thing that's really blessing to me with the money in this community outreach, when I said we feed on Thanksgiving morning, we feed over 2,000 people Thanksgiving meals from 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock. They drive on the campus, and then toward the end, 30 minutes left, we walk in the neighborhoods, we go in trailer parks, we go in some of the community, knocking on doors and asking, are they okay? Would they like to have some food? And they take that. Then to wrap up with this question, on Christmas Eve for the past, let me see, we did it 4 years, and then the COVID stopped the last 2. We go in the hospital on Christmas Eve to visit students, and then not in intensive care, but in the pediatric ward. And we take toys to them, and we sit with them, take them a book, something to read, something just say, we know you won't be home for Christmas, but you've been in our thoughts, and we wear our school shirts so they know that we are a caring environment. So, and that's why I was telling you, people are not going to do what I say. They're going to do what they see me do. Absolutely. And so people would do what they see you do. And if they see me out there in the community, working hard, knocking on doors, feeding people, they're like, wow, he's more than just focused on school grades and scores. You're right. I care about the whole child, your family, and anybody that has their hands in raising you and educating you. That's my kids. And 2,600 kids, I had my work cut out, but I was built for this, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, so the whole child and the whole community, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate that. So Dr. Epps, I really want to thank you for coming on the show today, but before you leave, could you please give our K-12 educators around the world some parting words of wisdom. Tell us how we can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
I want to say thank you, teachers, educators, for getting up every morning, being the hope for a child's tomorrow. Without you, excuse me, many of our students will put out the light and just give up. You have words that could either lift up or tear down. So your word, your tongue is very powerful. Your face, when you walk in the room, you have to glow. You have to call kids by their names. And you have to be very specific and just say, good morning, Johnny. Good morning, Rashard. Good morning, Guillermo. How you doing? And you have to, Margarita, I love your shoes. I love that. You have to affirm them every day. And when they know that, they will come to see you. And just like Rita Pearson said, students, if they don't like you, they don't come to you and they'll let you know. So you have to find a way to connect with them by affirming their existence in your classroom.
Sure.
And just like your bank account, you have to add value to these kids every day if you're expecting to draw interest in return. Wow. And this is why I said, I tell everyone, no one rises to low expectations. So when you think highly of them, when you see them as principals and politicians and lawyers, when you see them as being a difference maker in your classroom or in this society, you treat them different because you see them different. And you know, if we can dream it and believe it, we can achieve it. So I'm asking you and I'm challenging every one of you to rise up every day with a purpose, because when you know your purpose, you understand your passion. And so I leave you with some parting words and thank you. You are a difference maker. Go ye therefore and conquer.
Awesome, Doc. And how can we reach you? I know there's people out there right now that are hearing your voice and seeing you right now. How can they reach you?
Blow my phone up. Look, I'm retired. I want to come and serve you. I want you to buy my book when it comes out this fall. We'll keep you posted on that because I will be back on this channel with Dr. Williams. But you can reach me at Elvis Epps, that's ELVISEPPS, all lowercase, at gmail.com. That's ELVIS@gmail.com. My phone number, if you don't want to do the email thing, you call me and you have to tell me exactly who you are and how can I be of service to you.
Sure.
But my number is 407, that's the area code, and the number is 963-1253. That's 407-963-1253. Go to YouTube, pull me up on Gmail. You'll see some of my videos, some of my commencement speeches and trainings that I've done at various places. And I'm uploading more so I can put it on my website. And so I do have some more to add to this. But I do want to come by and just see what I can do to help you. It could be even writing an email. If you need to write something to someone and you're struggling, how do you fire someone? How do you terminate someone? How do you hire someone? How do you keep your promise? How do you, I don't want to say break a promise, but how do you find an alternate way of getting where you need to go? But there's so many ways you can do it, and there's so many things that it took me 30 years to realize. So the way I wrote my book is to a younger me. If I was starting this all over again, I want to make sure. And so in my book, New Principle, No Problem, how to lead a winning culture without losing your mind. It's a very powerful book. And the second one is Leading Strong while Managing the Unexpected.
Wow. You
have to get those when they come out because they're from my heart and their experience, but I see too many principals want to call it quits. Don't do that. There's somewhere that somebody looking forward to your face the very next day. And I know it's tough. Trust me, I know it's tough. We've been there before, Dr. Williams.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? You take a day or two off if you need to, refresh. Let's get back in your building and continue to be a difference maker. Because if not you, then who? And if you were built for this, it's you. It's your property because this is your time to rise and shine.
Awesome, Dr. Epps. I want to thank you. I want to acknowledge you for your service, your 30 years of service to all the staff, the students, the communities that you've impacted in your career. And I know that, as they say, God is not through with you yet. So
not yet. He's still going.
not yet. So,
my wife already told me. She said, "Don't even think you're gonna just sit here and watch TV because your DNA." I'm a 97 high octane person. They don't even sell the gasoline that I use. I'm a high octane person. I just like serving.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, thank you so much. We're definitely going to keep the conversation going, and I thank you for coming on the show. And I know that all of our viewers and our listeners definitely got something out of your message today, and all of your golden nuggets that you sprinkled on us for today. And we really appreciate you and we wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a joy.
Take
Peace
care.
to you.